it was never just there. Like we went to Colorado for 4 weeks, and we took horses and packed mules, and we went out to the mountains, and we just survived for 3 weeks in Colorado. So you have team training concepts, you have individual schools that Green Berets go to, and then you have the work up to the deployment itself. That's a good 10 months out of the year. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
sometimes you're only home for like a couple months
Yep.
in that year. So the up tempo was high, and we started to feel that about 4 or 5 years of doing that. Guys are getting burned out. You
Yeah.
see that in different forms.
So what? And now that you're talking about getting burned out, what was your, I would say, the vent valve, like where you let all your stress? What do you do? Like what was your hobby or the stuff that you love to do just to kind of like clear your mind and get back in the game later on?
Well, I feel like I've always had a good support system, you know, as far as like coming home and decompressing or talking about things that I saw on a deployment, or maybe just the stresses of work. Usually like in the soft community, they say, don't tell your wife about all the dangerous shit you do because you don't need her at home worrying. Well, that turns into you not telling your wife much. You're only telling her a little bit because most of what you do is also very fucking dangerous, and not just deployments, but the other stuff that you do is also high risk. I mean, when we were up in the mountains of Colorado with horses, I mean, guys were falling off their horses and almost rolling down mountains, So,
Mm-hmm.
but so it's like you guys are not used to telling their wives what they do, especially on deployments, combat deployments, because one, they won't ever understand what you're going through. They will try to like empathize with you, but they'll never fully understand. So you just keep it to yourself. There's no healthy outlet there. But for me, I kind of thought the opposite. For me, I was like, why wouldn't I tell my wife about all the dangerous shit I do? Like that would just give her, yes, she'll probably get worried, but at least she knows like, okay, what he's doing, and now she can probably really empathize with what I'm going through, because now she knows, well, this is the life that he chose, and he's probably going to do this all the time. So I need to learn how to cope with it too. It really kind of strengthened our marriage, but and I did that from the Marine Corps. I didn't wait till I got to SF. But then once I got to SF, it got super busy and things started changing for me as well. And you kind of communicate the things that you can to your spouse or whatever, and that turned to not communicating a lot of things to my wife at the time. But decompression comes in different forms. I was always kind of lived a healthy lifestyle, so I would just go to the gym and use that as my decompression. I would also go to the range and have range therapy and just shoot, 3, 4, or 500 rounds for the day. Do it that way. I also had like just a really good like support network with my family. I have a huge family. I went to people and I discussed feelings more so than thoughts, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like thoughts are in my head. Like I want to talk about combat and things that I saw, but I know I can't. So it's like, well, how do I still try to get some feedback from somebody? So instead of talking about the actions that I went through, I started talking about the emotions that I was going through or the concerns of how it was affecting me. And that's when I started getting help. Like people are like, okay, I can relate to your emotions. I can't relate to the actions, obviously, but I can relate to these emotions. And through that process is where I started to really kind of get some therapy from different people that I trusted in my closest circles, including my ex-wife.
Yeah.
She was definitely one of them. But that's how I coped. So, and not that's not. I wish that was true for most veterans, but unfortunately, most veterans don't do it that way. They tend to cope in different ways, which
Yeah.
is usually negative. They keep it inside, bottle it in,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have coping mechanisms like alcohol, prescription meds, other drugs.
Oh yeah. 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 That's one big thing, like alcohol, uh, suicides. It's rampant nowadays.
Yeah.
And the VA kind of like not helping sometimes. It's hard to get an appointment. Period.
Yeah.
For any type of reason.
No, system's broke, man. Because if you go to the military, medical side of the military, like the doctors or whatever, they just hand out prescription meds.
Oh
Here's
yeah.
like, oh, here's some basically some uppers, right? Or here's
Mm-hmm.
some down. Take these when you want to sleep; it'll help you sleep. Or take these. It's like you're just giving this guy a bunch of prescription meds. You don't tell him about the side effects. You don't really talk to him. You just give it to him, and then hoping, and you tell him like, hey, by the way, you can't drink with this. Like, you think a Green Beret is going to listen to you?